Thank you. Translation and purport by Stephen Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is the place is called, the chapter is called Diti Vow to Kill Indra, and she wanted to do that by requesting her. First she was serving her husband very nicely to get his favor. Then Kasyapa said, ask whatever you want, I will fulfill it. And then she asked, I want a son that will be able to kill Indra. And now he said, okay, he was thinking for a while, how will I do that? Because it will be bad to give her such a boon. So he's planning to engage her in devotional service so that she will get purified and might change her mind. So now he's giving her very, very detailed description of what she needs to follow. And he said, if you make one mistake, instead of having a son who will kill Indra, you will have a son who will be a friend of Indra. So, and it's quite complicated. I mean, all what he's telling her, it's not easy to follow. And one mistake, and she get the opposite result. So now it's description of all those rules that she need to follow. And maybe I will just read the 49. Anyone was there yesterday for the lecture? Was Jaisachi speaking about the one connected to eating food? Yeah, that was there? Okay, so that was already there. But still, for those who were not there, because I have a little bit prepared on that, I repeat that verse. Never eat leftover food. Never eat prasad offered to the goddess Kali. And do not eat anything contaminated by flesh or fish. Do not eat anything brought or touched by a Sudra, nor anything seen by a woman in her menstrual period. Do not drink water by joining your palms. And today, after eating, you should not go out to the street without having washed your mouth, hands, and feet. You should not go out in the evening or with your hair loose, nor should you go out unless you are properly decorated with ornaments. You should not leave the house unless you are very grave and are sufficiently covered. Purport. Kasyapa Muni advised his wife not to go out into the street unless she was well decorated and well dressed. He did not encourage the mini skirts that have now become fashionable. In Oriental civilization, when a woman goes out into the street, she must be fully covered so that no man will recognize who she is. All those methods are to be accepted for purification. If one takes to Krishna consciousness, one is fully purified, and thus one remains always transcendental to the contamination of the material world. So the verse again, after eating, you should not go out to the street without having washed your mouth, hand and feet. You should not go out in the evening or with your hair loose, nor should you go out unless you are properly decorated with ornaments. You should not leave the house unless you are very grave and are sufficiently covered. If you like, you can join me in prayer. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svaparantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanta Matergati Matsarvasva Padambujo Radha Madana Mohano Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes. Therefore, I offer him my most humble obeisances. Also like to request you for your kind blessings and good wishes, so that we get some good inspiration for today's lecture. So the point is very much connected into rules that are now given to Diti from Kasyapa about what she needs to follow in order to reach the success that she's hoping for, that she will get a son able to King Indra. So the principle we can take from actually all this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is that one should follow the rules and regulation to advance and reach our transcendental goal. And I hope in this lecture we will review which rules are actually important for us, and which rules and which regulation are important for us. What is the advantage of following rules and regulations, and in which way we should follow them? In which way do we follow the rules and regulation? So first, the advantage of following rules and regulation. Can I hear from you? What do you think are advantages of following rules and regulation?
Remembering Krishna and never forgetting.
Okay.
That's the advantage of our rules.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Mind control.
Yeah, it brings us a certain discipline, a certain need of controlling ourselves. When we have rules, we cannot just ask the way we want. We have to follow them. It helps us to become disciplined. And we see in the first verse of Upadeshamrita, it is explained the 6 different type of urges that are coming from the mind, speech, genital, belly, and all of that. And for one who can follow that or control them, can be the guru of the world. So it's like actually very, very important aspect. So those rules, like you say, will help us to actually become disciplined and help us to control of the self. Very good. Any other? Yeah?
So that one understands the principles of the rules and regulations, not just that we follow them, but why we are following them.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. That's actually very important, that we will come to that in the next section. Yeah? To be in Sattva Gun. To be in Sattva Gun. Very good.
And this also means when we follow it, that we renounce some things, and I heard that the more one sacrifices or renounces for Krishna, the more you come also closer.
Yeah, very good. It's actually, usually we have all the time those urges coming to our senses, and in normal world we just want to fulfill them. The input come and we go for it. But then by following them, we are actually learning to control ourselves, but learning to do what is actually good for us, to not just go for anything and everything that comes into our mind. And that's purifying the tendency of control and enjoyment, which is very much the base of conditioned life. We want to control, we want to enjoy. The inputs come and we go for it. But when we have rules and regulation, it helps us actually to step back and to detach or purify this tendency of enjoying and controlling. Yeah, very good. So I think we already covered more or less what I wanted to say. Actually, in Prabhupada's purport, he speaks about purification. It will, by following them, we naturally become purified from those lower tendencies. And without following them, we keep all the time contaminating ourselves. There is this example of the elephant who take the bath and then put the dust. So without following those rules, it's actually no way to progress in spiritual life, because we purify ourselves and we contaminate ourselves again, and purify and contaminate. And I can see before Krishna consciousness I was trying other processes and this understanding was not so clear. But when I came to Krishna consciousness, I understood, well, I'm not going anywhere if I don't start to stop contaminating myself. We become also more conscious. There are actually many, many small rules that are there, and if we want to follow them nicely, we need to become conscious. And there I can give an example in my household life. I'm married to Vajayanti Mataji, or Devidasi, who is very, very well knowing all the purificatory way of deity worship. So here what is prasad, what is boka, what is put here, and we have a sink for that and a sink for this. And I often I'm not so attentive to those type of details, and very often say, oh, why you put again the prasadam with the boga and like this. And I notice it actually helps me to be more conscious of what I'm doing. Most of the time we do things in automatical way, but this helps us actually to be more conscious. And by the way, this is one of the most important rules in the kitchen, that we don't mix the prasadam item with the boga item. It's I remember I was once in Radhakund for a Kartik Vrata, and there was a Babaji living in another room next to me, and we developed some friendship, and then came Govardhan Puja, and we did the Govardhan. We cooked for Giriraj, and then I asked him to offer, and I wanted to bring it on my altar, and my altar had a cloth on it. And I asked him, can you do the offering? And he said, I cannot offer it on the cloth. And I said, why? And he said, because this cloth is contaminated. The deity were eating on this cloth, so now this cloth is full of prasad. If I put the plate on it, it will transform into prasad. No need to do the offering, then just put the plate on the prasad, and that's it. No, remove that cloth, wash nicely the altar, and then you can do the offering. And then it can be accepted by the Lord. So, for example, we do often offerings in the devotee kitchen. We have the small altar. Should always clean it nicely before we offer, actually before and after. And always to be actually quite careful to not mix, not put the prasadam things just next to boga things or like this. This helps us very much to be attentive, but it has actually a very strong reason behind. And the reason is we want Krishna to accept our offering. We don't want our offering to just transform into prasad before we can offering it with love and devotion to the Lord. So that's one of the things actually. It helps us to become more conscious. Now we go to the next point. Which rules are important to us? And we know Prabhupada was very much stressing the 4 rules and regulations that are like the pillar for our spiritual life. At the same time, Prabhupada made quite some compromises with the actual rules, like he allowed women to go on the altar and become pujaris. He allowed women to come in, live in the ashram. So Prabhupada himself was making some change into the rules and regulation to show actually what is the highest parameter for having those rules and regulation. And Prabhupada always was doing that for what is going to help devotees to progress. And especially we are not the bodies, we are not men or women, so therefore he was making those type of change. Now let's see if we look at the verse, the first verse that we had about, the one that is repeated today about eating. I would like to read again the verse and ask you which of those rules are important for us and which are maybe not so important for us. Never eat leftover food, Never eat prasadam offered to the goddess Kali, and do not eat anything contaminated by flesh or fish. Do not eat anything brought or touched by a Sudra, or anything seen by a woman in her menstrual period. Do not drink water with joining your palms. So what are there like the important one for us, the important rules for us, and the rules that are maybe not so important?
Mentioned in the text,
Mm-hmm.
flesh and fish.
Okay,
It's one of the principles.
that's very important. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And items are offered to Kali, we should also not.
Okay. Why?
Because it's the same, it's flesh and fish.
Sometimes they might also offer some things without flesh and fish. Why do we don't accept food from demigods?
Accept Krishna and Vishnu prasad.
Yes.
Because I accept prasad from Vishnu and Krishna because we're worshipping.
Yeah, but why you don't accept also from demigod?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they are still great souls.
Kind of what you call it, unchaste towards.
Okay. Okay.
Worshipping the demigods.
Hmm?
They are not worshipping the demigods.
Okay. Okay.
It is when it is prasad, it is spiritualized. It's transcendental.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's, how to say, beyond karma and vikarma.
Mm-hmm.
I know karma and akarma.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is vikarma. It is completely without any
Okay.
reaction or something.
Okay.
Because Kali is still, she's a demigod, but she is still
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
on a material platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good. Also, the consciousness of the cooks, of the worshipper of Kali, they might be very much interested about material things, and we know that whatever food you eat, you get the consciousness of the cook. So it's actually also another reason. But yeah, it's good. It's always good that we connect the reason why we follow the things, and that come later actually in how to follow the rules. Anything that according to the text that we don't need to follow, that is not so important, that is secondary.
And what about those palms?
Uh-huh.
Yes, this was
I know heard those people.
Yeah, yeah.
Would drink like this. Like this, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This I don't know why. But that, I guess, those are secondary things that we don't really look for. Or the food that had been seen by a person, a lady in menstruation period, or things like this. Those things are things that we don't take too much attention. Okay, good.
contaminated prasad. It's not.
Yeah, also, yeah. Or
You can leave it for 2 hours or 3 hours, it's no problem.
yeah. It depends also which type of food, like for example breads and things like this. They can stay longer without getting petrified or bad. Depends which type of food, but in general, it's good. Like no leftover food was mentioned. Okay, let's go for today. Today's verse, the Kasyapa is giving her information. What are the rules he's giving her today? About what?
Breakfasting.
Yeah, okay.
About going out.
Yeah, going out. How she should not go out in the street, or how she should go out. And there again we can see what are the important one and maybe not so important
No
one.
mini skirts.
Yeah. Yeah. After eating, you should not go out to the street without having washed your mouth, hands and feet. You should not go out in the evening or with your hair loose. Nor should you go out unless you are properly decorated with ornaments. You should not leave the house unless you are very grave and are sufficiently covered. I mean, they are not like really like super important. But what we could do is try to understand why are all those rules there for Diti, Aditi. No, Diti. Sorry. Why are those rules there for Diti and for maybe for other ladies as well?
Because the attraction to men is maybe there, if she's not covered like this,
Yeah, very good.
the man will get, the eye of the man will get an attraction about any what is without out of the silhouette. If the silhouette is not proper,
Yeah.
you can be touched the things.
Yeah, very good, very good.
In the evening, it's also better not to go alone outside. It's
Mm-hmm,
not really good.
Yeah, very good. I heard a lecture from Konteya Prabhu this morning on this verse, and he was explaining that actually, usually, let's say, ladies will be dressed in sari, not in miniskirt, but he was saying it's actually, even in sari, ladies can dress in a way that you can still see a lot of the skin. And then he was making a calculation of how much, he said that the body has around 3 square meters of skin, and then he calculated with the populace in the world, then for young ladies, and there was something like 4,000 square meters of skin available in the world. And then, it's a little far out way of calculating, but he was saying sometimes ladies might leave purposefully place of the body out to attract men, but then he said they will attract only men who are interested about skin, and their future in Krishna consciousness might not be actually so good. So this is actually the main reason, and in Vedic tradition, that's something they are very, very careful to not agitate the men according to the way one dress. It can be also other way around. It can be also men tattoo and things trying to. It can go in both ways. But in Vedic tradition, is very much this. We don't want attraction to be done on the level of skin. We want attraction to be done actually according to compatibility that one has in serving Krishna. You can see, for example, in Vrindavan or like this, most of them, the ladies, and especially those who are married, they are covering themselves. And when you walk in the street, they have very thin veil in front so that they can still see what is happening, but you cannot see them. And sometimes they walk and they see, wow, look, those are white people coming in front. So then they just take the veil just out of the eye just to to watch Western devotees coming up in the village. And so more or less all those rules are actually for showing the chastity of the woman. And I was asking my wife, but she should not go out without being decorated. It sounds contradictory. We will decorate also to attract the attention from others. And then she was saying actually in Vedic system, the decoration the married lady will have, they are actually showing that she's married. And then when she has ring toes, when someone sees she has ring toes, they immediately understood she's married. If she has a red dot, they will understood she's married, and so on and so forth. That's a little bit about the rules we heard today. Yeah? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, so that was a little bit for that. Now I just want to see few important rules that we have in our daily practice and in our services. Little few things about chanting japa. Okay, chanting the holy name, no fast rules to follow. By the way, I found very inspired today. I was contemplating on the topic. We always hear rules and regulations. And actually rules is what to do, what not to do. And regulations is how much to do it or how much not to do it. Regulation, like for example eating, we know what to eat, what not to eat, but also how much to eat or how much not to eat. So regulations are there actually to regulate, which is connected to actually our having balance. Often we say rules and regulation. Today was the first time this regulation got some more sense. So let me ask you, in japa, chanting japa, what will be not a prescription, a prohibition or something we should not do? Okay, very good.
Distract.
Hmm?
Distract.
Distracted. Okay.
Ten offenses.
Oh, you are all so learned and deep. I mean, what I'm asking you is very, very small things. Actually, we have in Bhakta course usually.
Don't touch with finger.
Okay.
Use feedback.
Okay.
Chant on the toilet.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Where else we should not chant?
But didn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say you should chant everywhere, anywhere?
Okay.
Also on the toilet. I mean, not with the feedback, but
Okay. Okay, keep chanting. Yeah, that's true. Therefore, there is no fast and hard rule to chant. But still, there are things that are better to avoid. I mean, you keep chant, but with your beats and with concentration, really. I mean, you chant everywhere, but when you chant really japa, there are things to. Yeah?
Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe not in the place where people can do offenses to the holy name.
Okay.
Share,
Okay.
to share holy name with chant where people can make offense to.
Okay. Good, good. I mean, I heard we should not chant in the dark without any light, because this is actually influencing tamagun, and you will, and also not on the bed, because on the bed it's also full of tamagun unless it's protected by woolen chador and things like this. A small thing. I remember when I was serving my spiritual master, he was just so much on my case of putting holy things on the ground. He just could all the time, and sometimes you don't have any, or a bag that carry books. You should not put it on the ground, should not put it on the bed also, should not put it, also your beads on a seat, because the seat is also the place where we put our popo, and it's not good to put our bead back because it's also not considered clean. There are so many small things that actually we want to learn, and it helps us actually, like I mentioned in the beginning, to be more attentive, more aware of what we are doing, especially with objects that are connected with Krishna. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into that. One thought we had during this festival about reading the scriptures, and the question was coming, it's so difficult to read and to find time to read for many devotees, how to do that. And one devotee told me, you should make put your reading time on the schedule of your day. And sometimes my wife is asking, when you take breakfast, when will you read today? And oh yeah, okay, I have to find some times. And I heard Keshava Maharaj, who is like very, very empowered Swami nowadays, is saying every day is taking at least 5 minutes to plan his day, and also to plan his spiritual activities in his day and what he has to do and like this. And that's very much mode of goodness. Then you can go much more easily through the day. Anyway, for social dealings, we have Vaishnava etiquette that give all the rules and regulation that we should follow, keeping everything in Sattva Gun. Okay, we come to the last part of today, in which way we should follow the rules and regulation. And there, in the same Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami, there is a verse where he mentioned 6 things that are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. And there, one of them is connected to following the rules and regulations. Anyone knows how we should not follow the rules and regulation? Yeah.
So not too fanatic and not too loose.
Okay, yeah. He said actually we should not be too attached to the rules, nor one should not follow them. So we should follow them, but in a detached way. And I have one of my Shiksha Guru, when I was joining Krishna consciousness, was telling me, sometimes the problem we have is that we put the rules on the altar. And that's the main things, follow the rules, and we actually forget the essence of why we are actually following the rules without knowing why we follow them. So that's actually, or becoming attached to them. This is the way we should not follow the rules. And I read Bhaktivinoda Thakur was writing a book called Bhaktya Loka, which is very much on those 6 things we should avoid in devotional service, and 6 things we should develop or develop or increase or and maybe I just read it just for the pleasure of hearing the Sanskrit, and also to just review what are those 6 things to avoid. Or maybe we could even try to summarize for those of you who are knowledgeable. So we have the first one, that we should not follow the rules, being too attached to the rules or not following them. That's one of the 6. Yeah?
Overeating or overcollecting.
Okay, very good. That's the second one. Prajalpa, a third one.
It was not a it was actually niyama agra.
Yeah. So
And to associate with
Okay.
people who are not
okay,
spiritual.
okay.
Vayajas
Mm-hmm.
means to over-endeavor for things which are not favorable for
Yeah. Very good.
for material things.
Yeah. And that's good if you want to. That's the benefit when you learn the Sanskrit by heart. Then you can remember what are actually the 6 items. There is one left.
Shatovite, but I forgot the name.
I think the other one is eagerness for material things. Yeah. Okay, good. So in this book, Bhaktialoka, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that each step in our spiritual life have different prescription, what we should do, and different prohibition, what we should not do. And he explained that actually, according to the stage where we are, we should follow them, but then to go to another stage, we have actually to leave the one of the previous stage and adopt some new one that brings us to the higher stage. And he said we must have to adjust them so that we could move forward in other level. That means if we don't adjust them, we might get stuck in the level we are. And he said when one becomes a pure devotee, no, that's something else. By following those enjoy prescription and prohibition, one becomes eligible to attain the next step. If one is unable to attain the next step, he will fall down to the lower step. This is called degradation. Attaining the higher step is called advancement. Interesting, eh? If we stay on the same level and we don't make the step forward, we actually are pushed to make a step downward. I found quite interesting. So then he explained that actually the different stages are according to, he gives 2 considerations. He said one is about karma kanda, jnana kanda, and bhakti. So you will have rules for karma kanda, some for jnana kanda, and some for bhakti, and you need to follow the one of bhakti. Would you like to hear what are the rules for karma kanda, jnana kanda, bhakti? Yeah, it's interesting?
Yes.
Okay. So in karma kanda, the rules of varnashram dharma needs to be followed. Then the following of having samskaras needs to be followed, and there are some regulative prayers also. And what needs to be avoided is sins and bad habits. And then when you go to jnana kanda, then sannyas, renunciation, detachment, and discussing matter and spirit are prescribed. And then what is to be avoided is fruitive activities, forbidden activities, and attachment to sense enjoyment. And then when you come to bhakti, one he mentioned is indifference. I guess it's connected to indifference to material things, but it's not clarified. Performance of activity favorable to devotion, that's what we should do. Following the prescription and prohibition of jnana kanda, so one follow the one of jnana kanda. And cultivating devotional service with the help of those prescription and prohibition. So that means we don't just follow them, but we see how we can cultivate devotional service by the help of those things, and accepting what is favorable and rejecting what is unfavorable for bhakti is like one of the main disturbance. And then he said those different rules and regulations are there also according to our level in bhakti, according to Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, all those levels, they will have also slightly different rules and prescription that we have to follow. And then he said also according to our eternal constitution or according to our conditioned constitution in this world. And he say on our eternal constitution, the prescription is prema and the prohibition is envy. So that's on the level of the soul. The only things we want is prema, the only things we don't want is envy in our life. Okay, so this is, it's quite technical, I don't want to go too deep into it, but to show there are actually quite some thoughts behind that, and that in following the rules we need to know why we follow them, and we have to not neglect them nor getting attached to them, but always understanding in bhakti what is the main goal behind. Okay, we might follow some rules out of duty, we might follow some rules out of giving example, like the pure devotees, they are beyond all those rules, but they still follow to give example. At least the main one, like following the four rules and regulation and things like this, that's super important. They keep doing that. There are other rules, like you need to take bath 3 times a day, or like this. One Vaishnava might not follow carefully this particular rule, but have a different opinion. He has, okay, let me just be engaged in serving the Lord all this time instead of taking shower one more time, or like this. That's different things. But what I want to say is that the devotees in advanced level, they will still follow the rule as giving an example. And for us, we want to follow all that to please Guru and Krishna. They are prescribed by Guru and Krishna, and we want to do them in this consciousness that yes, it's good for me, it will please my spiritual master, he will please Krishna, so I will follow them. And like we saw the advantage, I will become more conscious in my life of what I'm supposed to do. I will become more purified, and I will make very, very good advancement. Actually, what is blocking us from making advancement is when we get again and again contaminated after we get purified. So that's a little bit what I prepared for today. There was the advantage of following those rules, which rules are important, and in which circumstance we should look at those rules, and in which way we should follow them. So this is what Kasyapa Muni is instructing Diti, of how she should actually do everything very, very carefully if she wants her goal to be fulfilled. And that's the principle for today. We need actually to follow the rules and regulations very carefully, with proper attitude, with proper understanding, so that we can actually reach the goal, our spiritual goal, which is Krishna Prema. Good. Do you have any questions, any comments? Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes there are these so-called secondary rules, like a brilliant example is like eating chocolate, or such things. And sometimes we see devotees who are not following them, and they're nice devotees, they are kind of successful in their spiritual life. And then you think about, like, okay, does it bring really any advantage to follow this rule? Or maybe it's just kind of over exaggerating rules, or even like just wasting. I mean, better eat chocolate and be happy than to restrain. So you know what I mean. So what would be from your opinion, the right approach to these rules, which are actually not like as severe as regulated principles, but on the other side they are like nice and they are supposed to help, but sometimes I think I'm just having only disadvantage from these rules and don't see any real benefit, whereas other devotees who are like nice devotees, they just ignore them and seem they are more happy than mine.
Very nice. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think it connects also to which rule are for which level of devotee, and to also to understanding why. Why we don't eat chocolate, because chocolate is like a very powerful way to. But this can happen also with this amazing halava we had during the festival. I think it was as dangerous as chocolate in one sense. So, but that's one of the main reasons behind, so that we don't develop some addiction to sweet and things like this. And then according to the different level of devotees, we follow these rules, and that's also a little bit monitored by the guru or shiksha guru, who helps you also to see what are the important rules and regulations you should follow at this time of the year. But at the same time, if you understand, just for example, this example, one of the benefits of following them is to get detached from purified from the desire to enjoy material nature. So if you understand that, you think, yeah, actually, I am just all the time trying to enjoy this world, and it's clear it's not there that I will find the real enjoyment. So better I renounce. Some they say it's not even about chocolate. Some they say I don't want to eat sweets because that doesn't bring any, just temporary satisfaction. I don't need and don't want that. I want the real thing. So that it depends also on your level of sincerity in your own devotional life, how sincere you are for going for Krishna prema. And obviously one should not be envious of those who still enjoy, because you understand this is not the way, this is not what I actually really want in my life. So it can be still, sometimes we have those issues, Ram Navami is coming, should we eat Ekadashi or not? And then all the quotes of the folio comes up of yes, no, but Prabhupada, and like this. Sometimes we get just so much diverted with all those small things and small. So at the same time, we want to be we want to be careful. I know my Guru Maharaj always, every Ram Navami, he's asking us as servants, okay, what is the way we should do today? The scriptures say we should do in that way. We just follow. We should not be negligent in avoiding the rules like this. At the same time, if I don't know, yeah, it's connected also to your level where you are. I remember that. Yeah, I will. I could say something else, but in private. Not. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
A question about Ekadashi. Some devotees say you should start Ekadashi 18 hours before. Other devotees say at 12 o'clock in the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard also about when the sun is starting to come, Ekadashi begins.
There you need to be a very well accomplished astrologue to know the muhurta and all those things to really calculate. Therefore, on our Vaishnava calendar, we have the timings that gives us when to break the fast. Usually, for sure, not after midnight that enter into the Ekadashi, but to be safe, in the evening before, or like this, 8 o'clock, or like this. But if you want to have those things precise, then you need a proper astrologue. But I heard Prabhupada was not even so fanatic or so strict with that. Like we do the Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi, no water and like this. In the time of Prabhupada, that was no one was doing that. It was not like that. Things that came later. I heard once Prabhupada was distributing prasad to audience of devotees, and someone came and said, "Oh, Prabhupada, I forgot it's Ekadashi, and there is some corn starch inside." And Prabhupada said, "We are not fanatic," and he kept distributing. And also different schools. Some are. Prabhupada made it super simple, but some they don't eat eggplants, they don't need this, they don't eat that, and some have very, very elaborate things that you have to follow, and vratas and things like that. There are a lot, but it might also depend to sincerity. We hear Aindra Prabhu was just like jubilant to follow all those rules and all those vratas, and whenever a vrata will come, he will just study all the things to follow, and he will just put himself fully into it because it's an opportunity to make spiritual progress. I take it. So it might a little depend. But again, it's very personal and very much connected to your own sincerity or your own desire for Krishna consciousness. You will follow them a little bit more carefully. At the same time, you will not get blocked into those small things. You are so focused on giving pleasure to Vaishnavas and Krishna that those things are secondary, and you don't pay too much attention on that when you are focused on pleasing Guru and Krishna. I see some more questions. Yeah.
Just a little comment, because on the soul level you said there's just prema and envy, and I thought, wow, this is so simple. And I was thinking also in our devotee life, when we are more in our constitutional position of servant, the more we feel happy and the less envy is there. So it's just actually very simple.
Yeah. On the constitutional position, it's very, very, very simple. Very, very simple. And actually, we follow also all that to get more detached from our body, like all those the controlling the urges of the senses, and like this helps us to understand. Actually, I'm the soul inside. To gratify my senses just like this is not what I'm looking for. Yeah, thank you. Nice comment. Somya Kauni.
I wanted to reflect a little on your answer on the previous question, and to say that, like you were talking about Aindra, and everything he was doing was for the purpose of making spiritual advancement. So every time when you question, should I do that, then you can just check what you're doing. It's all about the motive. And Keshav Maharaj said recently that every time you are planning to put effort in something, first check the goal. And then it helps to decide.
Yeah, very good. Like for example, sometimes you might want to work on sense control, and you might, but it's so nice and like this, but I want to control my senses. Then you can say, okay, I do it for you, Krishna. I'm doing that for you so that because I want to experience the real nectar, I want to experience your presence. So I purposefully now renounce this material sense object because I want you. So very nice, thank you. Okay, I think we will hear much more about all of that because we have still quite some verses about prescriptions and prohibitions coming up for this coming week. So I thank you for your attention. Galantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. whose karma? Bias, for whose bad karma? Yes. From your
From Dr. Frank. You know who this was?
Frank.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he left it here.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking
We
about
forgot it here, he told you.
Ah, okay.
That's mine.
The point was good.
Yeah. Thank you for your nice lecture.
Welcome. I have to go to Frank today.